Welcome to the Local Lad podcast. This is a podcast which I bring local lads in from Liverpool to talk about their achievements in their sector of work, whatever that may be, from sport to enterprise to whatever it is. We bring them in and we talk about it to try and to delve into how they got to that position, starting from where they started from to where they are now, and to try and give the listeners a bit of insight and a bit of encouragement to chase the dreams. So yeah, welcome to the Local Lad. My first guest today is a lad from Liverpool who's achieved something in his career which not many can achieve. He's a professional golfer. He played probably at the biggest stage of them all in golf, and that is the Open Championship. So I'd like to welcome Dan Croft to the podcast.
Hi,
Welcome, Dan.
How are we?
So yeah, if we jump right into it, what do we need to know about Dan Croft? Growing up, what was life like growing up for Dan Croft?
Yeah, so obviously growing up for me, Dan, was obviously growing up in Prescott and around Prescott Rainhill area. Obviously, like most lads in the area, played footy a lot, and obviously played golf, which is obviously what I'm doing now. But my dad got me into golf at my young age, and we went from there really. Started going to junior coaching, obviously at Heighton when I was a young lad, about 5 years old, and then it was group coaching, and then up until the age I was about 8 years old, managed to start getting on the golf course with my dad a bit, and then obviously from there it started progressing into the juniors and all that kind of thing.
So you were only allowed to play with your dad? That's a rule, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's still a rule which is there to
one of
this
those
day.
stupid rules, really.
Yeah.
But when you're a young kid, you're obviously on the golf course with your dad at Heighton. You can only play, with your dad, and from the age of 8 up until 11 when you're old enough to go and play with the other lads on the golf course.
A minor membership, that's what it's called.
Yeah, that was the one. Yeah,
that's a minor membership.
Until you become a junior.
So yeah, so then from 8 to 11, you obviously played with your dad at the golf course, and then from 11 on, that's the start of basically your junior career. Then, so
yeah,
what happened? What was your junior career like?
Yeah, so obviously starting off with the juniors was obviously only 11 years old, so you get your handicap and you start playing junior comps, and obviously with all the other young lads who were there, and just kind of just playing, weekends, school holidays, just living up at the golf club, and like I said, obviously still playing football at that time, but as we all do probably as young kids, you have a few different hobbies if you're lucky enough, and
but golf and we are because we're quite a similar age, and obviously we know each other from playing golf from when we were young. We've known each other for a long time. That junior section, that age, that was a good age. That because there's a lot of juniors in that area.
Yeah, we had
the inter-club junior days.
Yeah, we had it good, especially obviously at Heighton and Prescott. We had a good group of lads who were all. There's probably you roll up there on a Saturday morning, and you're walking into a group of 15, 16 lads who were all keen to go out and play and to practice and to just get better really, and to enjoy it. I mean, there's probably too much messing around sometimes, as we all did. But
we all done that.
At the same time, there was a good what's the word? There was a good attitude in terms of people wanting to improve and wanting to actually go out and learn the game. I think it was competitive as well, which was always
I think you had good everyone had good organisers in the club then, and we had it was just a good structure, and so yeah. Did you have any expectations for yourself at that point?
Not really.
At golf? Just enjoying it?
I mean, from that age, it was just about obviously just wanting to get better all the time, and you obviously had your handicap at that point. You're just always trying to get your handicap down. And
what was your first handicap?
It's a good question. I think it was 30.
Was it? Yeah,
30 or 32. I can't remember.
I was 24, mate.
Yeah, I was. But then obviously you get that down pretty quick, and then when you're playing all the time, and then
exceptional scoring and all that.
Yeah, and then by 14, it was like by 14, I got down to single figures, and I was starting to get into Lanc setups and stuff like that with the Lancashire boys squad, and then obviously from there, then you start to get some more expectations about where you want to go with your golf. And
so Lancashire was 14. That's when it started.
Under 14s, yeah.
So then Jim Payne.
Yeah, Jim Payne, Ian Lee, who were the two main coaches at that age. And there was a couple of others who would be around, but they were the main two coaches.
Which is a good setup to be around.
Yeah, it was, and I think at that point then, obviously, when you're getting into that stuff, you start to see other lads of your age who from other clubs who around your level or better than you, and you picking things up and kind of marking yourself against them in terms of where you've got to be to improve, and obviously doing coaching days with the older lads as well. And you used to see quite a lot of obviously good players, and some good coaching. You pick a lot up. Yeah. It was always about how can I improve, how can I get better, and obviously when you go back to your home club, then you practice and you want to work on things, but you've you've got that kind of knowledge in your brain of who's around them and what you've got to do to get to the level that you want to be at a specific time.
Yeah, Heighton had a lot of good players as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, there's a very good standard of amateur golfer.
Yeah, there is.
Heighton, where you played all your life, and I think that obviously a massive benefit to you seeing them playing, seeing them shooting the good scores, and then you're saying, right, that's what that's what you're saying. You know, I need to get to that standard.
Yeah, exactly.
So then Lancashire, and then obviously from Lancashire to the next steps. Obviously, your decision, it was either go to college, or what did you do? Did you go to college for a bit?
So
or
basically, obviously we all went to school, but then when we finished school, went to sixth form. I mean, at that point, obviously you're 16, 17, so I was getting my handicap down at that point to like around, I think it was around scratch at that point, maybe a little bit higher, maybe 2 or something like that. And then obviously you get through sixth form and it's like, right, what do I do? Do I go to uni, or do I looked into going to America and all that stuff, but it never really appealed to me that much. Or it was a decision of, do you go and get a job, do you go to university, what you do? But I always knew, like, I wanted to be in golf. Like, that was, at that age, it was like, I knew I wanted to be in golf, I wanted a career in golf. It was, what type of career would it be? Obviously, I wanted to play golf like we all did, but it was, okay, that's plan A, and that's where I want to be. But if that doesn't come off, obviously you need a bit of a backup plan as such. So I just worked for a year. I finished at sixth form and just went working for a year, just got a job in JD and just worked for a year and just carried on playing and practicing and playing events. And then I was working in the pro shop as well at Heighton, obviously part-time at weekends, and then I was lucky enough to be given the chance really to do me PGA at 19. I just thought, I knew, like I said, I knew I wanted a career in golf. Obviously the PGA is one of the main recognised bodies within golf in terms of a career, so it was, always liked the idea of coaching, so I thought, well, I'll do my PGA now, I'll turn pro now. I was off +1 at 19, I was like, I'll turn pro. I'm good, but I'm not probably good enough to be in kind of any of the England setup at amateur level or anything like that, or trying for the Walker Cup and stuff. So it was like, well, let's turn pro, let's do your PGA, let's get that behind you. Obviously keep working on your game, keep trying to improve, keep trying to get to the level you want to get to, but at the same time you get a degree and a qualification behind you to allow you to coach and to have, to be honest, to be able to earn some good money as well, to be able to then put behind yourself to back your playing, really.
Yeah, so playing's always been...
To you. Sound. There we go.
A bit more.
That better?
Yeah.
Sound.
Sorry, lads.
That's all I mean.
So obviously playing is always been in your mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like you said, what you're saying there, it's always been, I want to play golf. That's all you.
Yeah. Playing
a
golf.
lot of people who go to PGA do want to teach.
Yeah.
Some people actually enjoy it. There's two sides of the PGAs. You got people who want to teach. There's actually 3 sides. There's the people who want to teach, people who want to own a shop and make a business,
definitely.
And there's ones who want to play.
Yeah.
Who want to be a PJ playing.
I enjoy coaching. I still coach now, but at the same time, it was, I can coach and play kind of and push. We can, when you're coaching, obviously you can earn some quite good money from coaching. So it's like, well, I enjoy coaching and I like helping people improve with golf and passing knowledge on. So I can earn money that way, coach, and then obviously keep playing as well, which was obviously the main ambition.
Yeah. So PGA, how many years did that take?
Just over 3. It was 3 years. It's a 3-year course, but then obviously COVID. I started at the end of 16, so it was coming up to the end of 2019, and then I had like one last exam to do, and then COVID got in the way. But basically, in the end, it was done and dusted mid 2020. So yeah. I was 23, and it was out the way. So yeah, fully qualified.
Someone's looking to do the PGA qualifications.
Yeah.
What would you say the biggest benefit is of being a PGA professional?
What, as a PGA professional?
Yeah, what is it?
PGA courtesy, really.
Yeah. Getting free golf.
No, on a serious note, it's a good industry. I mean, it's a tough industry, like most industries. It's probably, to get into a good job and have, it depends, like you said, what you want to do. But if you've got aspirations of being like a club pro or being a club manager or something, them positions don't come up often. So you have to find ways of standing out and making sure that you're really good at what you do. But yeah, I think anyone who feels like it's something you want to do, it's definitely a good path to go down from a learning point of view, and you learn a lot that you can carry forward, obviously, in your career in golf.
Yeah. So you've got your PGA, obviously you're playing a lot of tournaments.
Yeah.
You are a very active player.
Yeah.
We'll now jump to the Open.
Okay.
Obviously, for people who are listening, they may not know that there's a qualifying stage of the Open.
Yeah.
So there's regional, then there's final, and then obviously if you get far through final, get the Open. So COVID was rife when it was the first Open after COVID, and it was a lot of like the precautions and
all that bollocks.
all that bollocks. Yeah, we can swear on this podcast. Don't worry, it is a local lad. So yeah, all that, and then so for you it wasn't regional and final at West Lancs.
Yeah, so it was 21. So the Open was at St George's, down south. But obviously the way qualifying usually works was a little bit different because of COVID. But basically, you have regional at West Lancs followed by final at West Lancs. That was the local one for us. So yeah, I obviously entered that one, and then I got through regional on the Saturday, I think it was, or the Sunday. I think I shot 200 at regional, got through to final, and then obviously I played final a few times before, but I'd qualified a couple of years earlier and a couple of years before that for final qualifying, but never really done much at final qualifying. Like, always been there and obviously happy to be competing.
It's a tough stage, final.
Yeah.
It's tough because there's a lot of pros there playing tour professionals who I remember a lad we know, he played at St Anne's, and he was grouped with a very renowned European tour pro, and it was a bit. He said it was a Gavin crowds following you.
Yeah, that's it. And
it's
like
different.
When you turn up at final stage, you've literally got 36 holes in a day, as you know. You know, you've got 72 people there you're competing against for usually 3. I mean, it's gone up a bit now, but at the time it was 3 spaces into the Open, and you've got, like you said, at final stage, you've got European Tour players, Challenge Tour players, obviously ex-tour players who may still be active playing but haven't got the status they used to have. And yeah, it's a big day. There's obviously a lot of people following, and I mean, when I qualified that year, obviously there was no crowds, no spectators, but it was it's a bit. It's if you speak to a lot of people who've played in it, you probably say like it's one that's like the best event you're ever playing, because there's such a nice buzz around the day, the whole thing. But it's also very tough. So we'll dive into your final qualifying. Yeah. So first round, what did you shoot? So 200 in the morning.
And where was that sitting?
I think I was around I can't remember. I think I was around 10. But there was a group of lads who were all kind of like 200 or 300, and there was one lad who was running away with it. But you obviously know the 3 spaces going into the afternoon. Yeah.
So what, going into the afternoon, what was you thinking? What was the mindset?
I knew I'd play well in the morning. My game was in a good shape. I hadn't really held enough putt in the morning. And obviously we sat at dinner, sat at lunch with Mick.
Mick's his caddy, by the way.
Yeah, obviously sat with Mick, and me and Mick were just talking through, and he was like, look, he said to me, he was like, you're playing great there. He was like, there's more in the tank out there. You just got to keep going, keep doing the right things, and hopefully a few more putts will start to drop and it'll go your way. And I just said to him, look, if we can get to the back 9 this afternoon with a chance, get in the mix, I think I'll fancy doing all right. Just got to get to that position first. And
so front 9.
Yes, we start on the back 9.
Oh, you start on the back?
It's second round because it flips, obviously, 2 start. So
you start on the 10th.
Start on 10. I didn't start the second round entirely great, I think. I started like a par and a bogey and then a few more pars, and then we got to the 17th, par 3 at West Lancs. Managed to roll a nice putt in there for a 2. Managed to make another birdie on 18.
So you've turned at 1 under?
So I've turned 1 under, so I'm like 3 under total. So I'm like,
starting to feel it now.
You're in this. Yeah. And then managed to make another good birdie down 1. So it's like, right,
which is a good birdie.
We're in this now. Like, come on, let's see what happens. And then next few holes, made a couple of pars, and then I think I dropped the shot on 4. And I got on walking to the 5th tee. I was thinking, that might be it. But then kind of pull yourself together, and I got on that next tee, and par 5, managed to get a good tee shot away, side the green in 2, and managed to get up and down for a 4. So at that point then, kind of back where you were. And then I said to Mick at that point, I said, I think we're probably going to need another couple here, to have a chance. And 6th hole, par 3, it's the middle of the green. I mean, if you've played there, you'll know you can't really get near the flag where it was because it's a tough green. So just at the middle of the green, and I'd have managed to roll this 40-footer and down the green. Oh. Mick's jumping up in the air. I'm giving it all the fist pumps and all that, and it's a bit like, right, yeah, obviously now it's real. We're right in this. And then 7, managed to hit it in close there and knock that in. So I've gone 3 on the spin, and obviously at that point then we've walked the 8th tee, and I've said to Mick, look, where are we? And the fella who was walking with us, who was scoreboarding, was the score on it, he was like, I said to me, you're 2 shots clear basically in 3rd place.
I remember watching my phone going, come on, Crofty.
Yeah.
I remember we were all in the golf club, and we're like, come on, do not drop this.
Yeah.
Like, it was.
Yeah.
And then
so I walked that 8th tee, obviously knowing where I was, but at the same time there was still a chance people could catch me. But I just said to Mick, right, come on, 2 pars. And then,
Is this like a blur now in your head?
Yeah.
Like, see,
yeah,
this is.
there's certain moments and things to remember from that day, and there's other things that I couldn't tell you where
See,
it was.
Tiger Woods says that every.
Yeah, there's things that I couldn't tell
listen
you
to
where
him.
it was. He was around me. You know what I ate.
Yeah.
I actually like. I remember a lot of it, but there's certain things I'm like, yeah, that's a blank moment. But
It's called in the zone.
yeah, managed to make a good par on 8. And then obviously down 9, it like the safest 3 iron in my life, and it's at middle of the green and 2 putted, and then at that point it was like, right, I think it's done. And when we walked off that green, I knew I qualified. There was one lad who might be able to catch me, but he had a tougher one because he was finished on the other side, and then I think pretty much as soon as I finished, he'd made bogey on the neck, so it was like, right, it's over. And that was it.
Was your dad there?
No, because obviously
you
couldn't have any spectators, and Mick was caddying for me, so my dad was playing in a seniors open somewhere. I think it was at Sandy Way. And my mum was obviously at home, and obviously called them up straight away and gave them the news. But they were aware anyway. They'd been following on the phones. But
you cried, didn't you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
it was quite an emotional time that then.
That's just a release, that.
Yeah, definitely.
That is just a release.
You're
in that zone.
Yeah.
You knew you could do it.
Yeah.
And you've done it. It's just a release.
It's the release of everything you've ever really wanted to do and work for, and like obviously you want to play golf at the highest level, or week in, week out, but playing the Open was always like a dream of mine. And so obviously then realise that you'd done it and that you were going to go and play. It was just all like too much to take in at once. Really.
Yeah. So then qualified.
Yeah.
Do you get a phone call off the RNA, or
in what way?
Like to tell you like your tea times?
Oh, so basically you come off afterwards.
Yeah.
You signed your card and all that, and then once it was all done and dusted, and you've done all the media stuff with the all the interviews and the photographs and all that stuff, of all the qualifiers, you get pulled to the side then to the RNA kind of tent on the day, and they're like, look, right, you're going to get an email tomorrow with all your playing information, everything you need to know, any questions, to give you like a card, and it's got like all these contact numbers of people you might need to speak to in regards to anything like accommodation, anything you need to know really. You've got someone for everything. So then next morning you get your email, and then you can sort yourself out from there really. But
yeah. So then obviously heading into that week, you have to be mindful that to do testing, like
it was a mad time that,
because it was weird.
Yeah, it was a weird time, because I remember obviously being at the golf club and practicing, and everyone's trying to come up to you and be like, obviously at the time you want everyone to say well done, you want everyone to
give you the whole
and everyone you've known, like people you've known for a long time who've always supported you, I want to come over to you and give you a hug and shake your hand and say congratulations and all that. But and any other year, obviously that's for at that time it was like, hang on a minute, I can't afford to, like, it's the most paranoid that I was in that whole COVID shite. It was the one time I was actually like really paranoid of like, I actually really can't afford to get this right now.
And the funny thing is, I was one of the few who hugged you, and then the week of the Open, I ended up with COVID. So it was a bit like, it was nuts.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
But
yeah. So then, obviously, go to the Open.
Yeah.
And then you get treated like a tour pro.
Obviously, so you rock up, do your test when you get there. Obviously, you're waiting around for all that stuff. But then once that came through, it was like, okay, and that was quite a nervous time, because you're waiting, thinking, have I done all this? And I can't even play. But obviously, we got that through, no problem. And then it was straight into it. So obviously out on the course practicing, into the players' areas, clubhouse and all that stuff, and all the stuff that goes with it. Yeah, tour vans and all that stuff.
Yeah, and then obviously your practice rounds. You had a mad practice round.
Yeah,
I don't think many people can say they've done this. This is like their Open experience.
Yeah, the Tuesday was probably the best day in terms of obviously being that week. I mean, the Thursday was great, obviously being the actual Open, but the Tuesday was brilliant. I played 18 holes with Tommy Fleetwood, Lowry, and Harrington, which Finno, who was obviously Tommy's caddy, was very kind of him to sort out, really.
Local lad.
Yeah, good lad as well.
Two of them all.
Yeah, but he messaged me when I qualified and just said, look, congratulations, well done, we'll see you there, here's my number. And he just basically texted him when I got there, and he managed to sort out an 18-hole round with them 3 on the Tuesday, which was one of the best experiences of my life.
Why, because you won £100 or?
No, because it was just that was a good game. Like, me and Tommy versus Shane and Patrick was a good day.
So for the people who don't know, you've got £50 notes.
Yeah.
Framed.
Yeah.
With someone's signature on.
Yeah.
Explain how that come about.
So we played the match 18 holes. It was better ball, like, against each other.
Yeah.
And I actually didn't realise we were playing for money. So when we got on the first tee in the morning, I mean, I was just happy to be there, but obviously introduced to everyone. I was on the first tee, and I'm like, obviously Tommy's there, Shane's there, Padraig's there, and then Kepka walked on the tee. I was like, saying he's going to play the first couple of holes with us before he was going to jump over to 9. So you're teeing off down the first hole on a Tuesday at the Open with Tommy Fleetwood, Padraig Harrington, Shane Lowry, who's obviously the current Open champion at the time, Padraig, the Ryder Cup captain at the time, and then you've got Brooks Koepka, who's just managed to roll up on the tee with you and decide he's going to play a couple of holes with you as well. So it was pretty surreal. I was probably as nervous that day as I was on the Thursday teeing off with them boys, because it was obviously them people around you was different to what you used to. But we played the first few holes with him, and then Tommy had said on the tee, look, we're going to have a match. You're going to have me and you, England versus Ireland. I was like, yes, no problem. That's great. But he didn't mention like what we were playing for. And then once we got to about 15 tee, I think we were 1 up at the time. Tommy had birdied like 12. I think I birdied 13, and then we were 1 up on the 15th tee. And I was just stood next to Tommy behind the tee, and Shane Lowry just turned to Padraig and was like, yeah, look, come on, we can't lose 100 quid to these two. And I just looked at Tommy, and Tommy was like, yeah, we're playing £100 a man, by the way. I was like, all right, Sam. With no idea, like, but yeah, Tommy birdied 17 and we won 2 and 1. So we went, he wants to double quits us down the last, but we have the hole, so we come off the back of the green, and Harrington jokingly like said to me, who do you want paying off? And he was like, oh, we'll give him 50 each, but Mick had a pen in his hand. So because I said, look, I want to get them signed, so they signed them for me. It was great. And they would, to be honest, like being around that company, they couldn't have been nicer. Like they couldn't have been more welcoming. And like some people might get the impression sometimes that they might be very like stuck up and not want to. They were so far away from that. Just all so open. So wanted to give you advice, wanted to help you, wanted to tell you anything you wanted to ask really, and just really genuinely nice people. Yeah. So that was a great day.
So then obviously the Open itself. You in the first group the first day?
No, so I was 11:30 day one, and then second day was first out at 6:35. So I was with Aaron Rye and Paul Waring.
A local lad.
Yeah, he's off the world. So that was nice, obviously going towards the first tee. Now when you're playing with someone else who's from around your area, and there's Callie Alex, is a lad who I know through the PGA. So we'll walk on the first tee and I was like, all right, Al. just like
it's a nice calmer, innit?
Yeah, it was a good calmer. And Aaron Rye was a really, really nice lad, and his caddy Jason was a nice fella as well. So it was a very nice atmosphere, but obviously very nervous.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But yeah, Thursday teed off 11:30. Got off to a decent start. Parred the first, made a good par, nearly made a birdie, and then kind of had a rough run from 2. It's a few bad shots along the way, and yeah, the occasion. I mean, since people have asked me like, did the occasion get to you? It probably did. Like, I feel like I've always handled like nerves and pressure well, and it's something that I actually enjoy. But then, in that occasion, and not probably anticipating how nervous you were going to feel and how much like it felt like a video game. So it's like, I don't know, and I hit a bad tee shot on 2, I think, and then I think I made bogey, and then I've like bogey 3 and 4 and 5, and all of a sudden you're like, hang on a minute, I need to just chill out here in a minute, and managed to compose myself around 7. And to be fair, I played well from there. I think bat 9 a shot level par, and I think I might have I made 2 birdies in the last 5 holes, so I pulled myself together and kind of kept going and just kept plugging away, and I managed to come off with something respectable first day. It could have been better, and it was a bit disappointing with the start we had, but at the same time it was like, right, you know, you've got a slim chance of making the cut tomorrow. That was kind of the goal of the week, was obviously I wanted to go and enjoy it and just enjoy the whole experience, but if you could make the cut, that was like the goal I had for the week. So yeah, we were out second day, first out. That was some experience, because obviously you're getting up at like 3 in the morning to go and prepare for a half 6 tee time. I didn't have much of a turnaround time. That was probably the hardest thing, because you come off that night after round 1, obviously had your food and whatever, and done your after round stuff, and then next thing it was like, hang on, I need to get to bed. I'm back up in like 6 hours here, so getting up in the middle of the night to then go and prepare for half 6 tee time. But out first, second day, again, parred the first, good start, and then made a mess of the second. That hole lives in my brain. but yeah, I just didn't have a good hole on that hole, and I just hit another bad shot into there and made a bit of a mess of it. And then again, after that, played all right really from there onwards, especially on the back 9, and came off obviously missing the cut, but felt that like I'd given a decent representation of myself, and I was quite proud of myself really, obviously, to want to get there, but 2 to play as well as I did from the majority of it. Obviously didn't achieve what I wanted to achieve in terms of making the cut, but you know, best week of my life, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
A lot of people can't say they've done what you've done.
I'd love to do it again.
Yeah, that's what the ambition is.
Yeah,
Going
exactly,
play the Open again.
Yeah.
You've had a taste for it now, and
Yeah.
I know what you
Yeah.
like. You're very driven, and I know that you want to taste that, like you want to feel that again, that experience,
Yeah,
be
definitely.
amongst it.
Yeah.
So obviously the aftermath after the Open, what was it like? Obviously a lot of getting a bit of attention.
Yeah.
People ringing you, saying you want to speak to you about maybe sponsoring you. So obviously you made the decision after the Open to play. You were going to play.
Yeah. So at the time, I was obviously working at Mersey Valley there. With Richard. I was coaching and playing. I was kind of coaching 3 days a week, 3.5 days a week, playing in events 3.5 days a week, just trying to like obviously balance the two. But always in the back of my mind with the ambition the goal was always been to play full time. And kind of from when I was an assistant, obviously then getting up into the PGA when I was fully qualified. As much as I was still working and coaching, I was always trying to get closer to playing full time. It was always like trying to manipulate it in a way that I could always play as much as I could, but still working enough to earn a living and to be able to fund myself. But yeah, at the end of the Open, I had a guy who was helping me out that year. Before the Open, and then obviously on the back of the Open, we had a good chat, and he said, "Look, I want to help you out for next year." So I had the idea then I wanted to go and get my car for the Euro Pro Tour, and go full time playing.
Which was stage one of the European Tour structure in a way, wasn't it?
Yeah, so it's a satellite tour for the Challenge Tour. So there's a few satellite tours in Europe that feed the Challenge Tour.
That was the main one in
the UK. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so so the idea was go, finish up working as such, with the idea that you had the backing to go and then play full time, which is what I'd always wanted to do. I had another guy who was kind enough to offer me some help as well, so it meant that I could go and have enough backing to go and play without having to really work. And get me Euro Pro card, which I managed to do at the Q School in October that year. So then going into 22, obviously kind of slowly drifted me coaching away and left the role there at Mersey Valley to then go full time playing.
But mate, the good thing was Mersey Valley still backed you as well. They were always
I was still attached there. I was still representing the club,
which is really nice of a golf club to do for the pro.
Yeah, they were very much behind me, and definitely the people who were working there at the time and the guy who was sponsoring me from there, the couple of guys who were sponsoring me from there were very, very helpful. And I'll always look back on that time and be very appreciative of what they did for me. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So the full year of playing professional golf.
Yeah.
What was it like?
Good experience. Obviously I was full.
It's your dream.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah. So, like I said, playing full time is what I've always wanted to do. Essentially, that as much as like you're trying to get to the top levels of golf, that is living the dream. If you like, that's what I always wanted to do, is to just play golf full time in tournaments week in, week out, with the idea of not having to worry about anything else other than where the next tournament was and what I needed to prepare my game for. So, that is the different level to everything as golf, but that is living the dream in terms of what you're physically doing.
Yeah.
The season obviously started on Euro Pro in May. I played a few little warm up events beforehand, kind of locally and regionally, and then started on the Euro Pro that May. 15 event season. I think I played 13 of the 15 events, and a couple of other bits in between again, like local qualifying that year and a few other bits. But it was some experience. Learned a lot about me. Obviously traveling around every week, and as much as I travelled previously playing, it was never prolonged stints, and obviously week in, week out, going to somewhere all around the country and across the UK every week. I learned a lot about myself, how I deal with things, what I'm good at, what I'm probably not good at, in terms of how I deal with general things that come up day to day, on the course and off the course. Good experience for me golf. Obviously learned a lot about my golf and my game, and sort of got a really, really good understanding of actually where my game is in terms of where I want it to be, and also against that level of competitor. People don't really realise, or the average, not to say the average person, but your average golfer who's a member of a golf club probably doesn't realise the standard of golf at a professional level, even on say the Euro Pro, which is like the third tier. The standard's unbelievable, and you don't realise how many good players actually are, and the standard is that deep. There's so many good lads, and you've got to be pretty good to do well. Yeah.
So then, going back to the comment you just made there, you learnt a lot about yourself in terms of what you're good at and what you're not good at. So tell us something that you're good at on the golf course, and something that you've learned that you weren't not so good at as a golf course.
Okay.
And do you reflect on it?
Yeah, all right. So on the course, I've probably learned more about myself in terms of that. It's something I kind of always knew a little bit, but I'm very resilient. I'm someone who can dig in, and when things go against me, I'll grind it. I'll always grind it, and I'm not one to throw the towel in and give up. I mean, don't get me wrong, I might have the odd little kick off when something goes against me, and
we all do.
And you got it, and I can be better at that. I can still, of course, I can still be better at that, but I'm quite good at putting it behind me and just kind of saying, right, come on, you know, and just keeping myself on the right side of things in terms of being resilient and not getting too down on yourself and being able to keep yourself going and not cave in and not, you know, being quite gritty basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was something I'd say I'm pretty good at, and so you can always improve, but it's something that I think is definitely a strength of mine. Something I'm not good at. I'm not great. This is kind of more off the golf course than on the golf course.
Okay.
I'm not great with time management. So like,
everyone, I'm made up. You said that, you know, because all the lads listening to this are going to be absolutely made up. You just said that. That is Croft. That is Dan Croft.
I'll be there in 10 minutes. Probably there in half an hour.
You were earlier than me though today. So
I know. I actually turned up on time today, but no, I'm terrible like that. I actually don't mean it.
What's the quote we always use for you? You're always early. You're always on time for one thing, and that's
your tea time.
Correct. So
I'm terrible. I am, but I just like little things. Sometimes I'd be like, right, I need to be here at this time to leave for this time to do this, and even though I do it all the time, just obviously being on tour and traveling around places and all that stuff, I was like, I need to really get my shit together in terms of in this stuff, because I'm always late and I'm never on time. And that's not me doing it on purpose. I don't plan it very well.
You're very methodical.
Yeah, I'm a methodical person.
That's not a bad thing.
No,
it's not a bad thing.
But,
so if someone's looking from the outside,
yeah,
or listen to this from the outside, they think, wow, he's playing his dream. He's playing golf full time. What's the harsh reality of playing full time? What's the things people don't see?
Yeah, so you're right. You get a lot of people who say to you, "Oh, you play golf every
You're
day."
lucky. You're living your dream, but there's always another side to it.
Of course, there is.
Which is not really spoken about, which it'd be a good thing to speak about.
Yeah, when you're playing golf, obviously day in day out, and you see people obviously at the golf club or your mates, you think, "Oh, it's great. All you do is play golf. You know, your life must be great." Don't get me wrong. I'm living my dream. I'm happy.
Yeah.
It's what I want to do. But it's not all like rainbows, and you know, behind the scenes, it can be quite difficult at times, especially if you're not playing well, because you're getting down about your game and you're down about about what's going on. It's on your brain 24/7, but also, you know, it's more like the people assume, or no, I'm not saying everyone, but a lot of people assume that just because you play golf full time and you're a professional golfer, you know, you've got plenty of money in the bank and life's good. And sometimes, obviously, if you're winning and you're playing well, you're doing all right. But if you're not in a good run of form, or you're not playing well, or you know, you've not had a few good weeks, very quickly you're looking at the other way, thinking, hang on a minute, I'm struggling here a little bit. And it's not always as easy as people make out. You know, the things you have to be aware of in terms of money you're spending and what you've got in the bank and what's coming up, and you know, at that level on the PGA Tour, you know, majors, biggest tournaments in the world, best players, everyone's earning a lot of money for being there, for what they're doing. And that's, you know, it's like football. You got the Premier League footballers are obviously on a good screw, aren't they? They put plenty of money in the bank. But at the same time, you know, as a footballer, you're going to get paid whether you're there or not. You know, whether you play or not. In the golf scene, obviously, you've got to play well.
It's you and you don't.
You haven't got any guaranteed money coming in. No. Not unless, now, obviously at the time last year, having that sponsorship was a massive help. But, you know, another thing you got to be aware of then is that you want to always making sure that you want to please the sponsors, and you're making sure that you've always got them on your side, and you're not going to end up in a position where they fall away, or there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes mentally that people probably don't account for as much as they might think. And it's probably the same. Yeah, exactly. It's your own business, and it's the same in any job probably, and any way of life. But yeah, people definitely have that interpretation that just because you're a professional golfer, your life must be great. And don't be wrong, I'm not complaining. Like I said,
no, it's just good to.
There's definitely times where it's not as good as you probably think it is off the course.
Being a full-time professional golfer, you are the business.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you've got to make sure that money's coming in to support it, and you know.
And it's not even just the money. It's like that. Like sometimes, obviously, like I said before, if you're not playing well, you've got that doubt in your head, and you're feeling down about everything in life just because it's what you do and that's who you are.
That's why a lot of pro golfers have a team now, don't they? Every time you hear someone win, thanks to my team. Yeah. You know, that's thing. Exactly. That's a modern thing, like, really, in golf.
A prime example is like you play an event, you missed the cut, you're 5 hours away from home, you're driving home on the motorway, and it's like you're driving home on the motorway 5 hours from home. You know, you've got no money coming in that week. You feel like you're not playing great. You've got more events coming up, and it's like, how am I going to get out of this hole? If you like, how am I going to get out of this situation? How am I going to make, you know? And there's like I said, there's things like that in every walk of job and life, but people probably don't realise as much in terms of golf and sport at every level. You know, especially lower down the pecking order as such, in terms of if you're not at the very, very top level, that you're doing well most weeks to break even.
Yeah.
If you do better than break even, you've had a great week, really.
That's especially in the third stage of.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely. So obviously, you had your year of playing, you retained your card.
Yeah.
And then Euro Pro gets disbanded.
Yeah.
So it can't not. You've had your first full year playing golf.
Yeah.
And then that happens.
Yeah.
Then I remember being around you. And how do you cope with that? How do you cope with like?
It was a strange time though. So that was like last end of September.
Just bear in mind, Euro Pro's been going for a very long time.
20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was that was the tour that everyone knew as the third tier in professional golf in the UK. Obviously feeding to the Challenge Tour. And that was kind of where you wanted to play your golf in terms of trying to push up forward. There's other options around Europe as well and around the world, but most people in this country was like, yeah, that's you want to play Euro Pro. And the end of September after the season finished, the people behind it who were funding it have basically made the decision to pull the tour. So yeah, it was a mad time because, like you said, I've just played my first year. I've just managed to kind of get to grips with traveling every week and being on the road every week and getting to know the course and the schedule and how things run. And as much as like on the golf course is obviously what matters how you play, these things all account to how you play. And if it's good off the golf course, you're generally going to be better on the golf course. Yeah. So you're kind of getting a good understanding of where you are and how it goes. And the next thing is like the rug's just been pulled from under you because it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you kept your card and you're thinking, well, now what? Now don't get me wrong, it was good. It was good at the time to still play them events and manage to have that experience and pressure of having to try and keep a card. But then at the end of it, to then turn around and go, well, hang on, it's actually probably counted for nothing. It was maybe not counted for nothing, but it was hard to kind of process mentally.
Yeah.
And then obviously waiting around at the start of the winter, kind of you've got your winter prep and your winter plans of how you want to work over the winter to go into X, Y, Z for next year, and you kind of didn't know where you were going to be. I mean, all I could really do was control what I can control and just work on what I knew I needed to work on and wait for what was going to come round. But kind of how it panned out this year, there wasn't really a great replacement in terms of for the Euro Pro for me, financially, in terms of what it was to play in. So yeah, it's been a bit of a strange time in that front. Yeah.
Would you change anything if you could?
What, in terms of
and all that you've been through? Would you change anything you could?
Probably not. No. I mean,
why?
You learn from everything you do, don't you? I mean, don't get me wrong, you're gonna look back sometimes and go, I wish I'd done that better, or I could have done this, but all these experiences and everything you've done, you learn from it, don't you? So I wouldn't change what's happened. Don't get me wrong, there's a couple of times where I might have liked a better outcome.
Yeah.
But I've learned things from that was probably more valuable to me long term.
Yeah.
So yeah, I probably wouldn't change anything, Dan, to be honest.
Yeah, love that. So obviously, present time.
Yeah.
Dan Croft, professional golfer. What's it like now for you? Still playing?
Yeah, still playing all the time. I mean, like I said, so no real tour as such this year, but just kind of took a bit of a back seat this year and just played all the PGA North Region national events. I'm just gonna wait and kind of. I've started coaching a bit again, just on the side as well, just trying to keep myself busy, and then kind of just keep working on my game, keep trying to play in what I can play, and keep pushing forward, and then hopefully going into next year we might have a better scenario in terms of what is available to play in.
There's always whispers.
Yeah, there is, and don't get me wrong, there's other stuff around the country and around the world and around Europe that you could go and try and enter to push yourself up the ladder. But obviously there's an expense to everything.
Oh yeah, massive expense.
And obviously on the back of Euro Pro last year, I had the help last year, like I explained.
Yeah.
With Euro Pro finishing and not really having a clear plan of what was going to happen this year, kind of lost that backing.
What's that like?
Yeah, not nice. It's not a nice feeling. There was one guy who pulled because he basically had a really bad financial time last year because of the world last year. Another guy just said, look, he just wanted to know what I was doing and where it was going to be, and I didn't really know where it was going to be. So he kind of was like, look, until you know, I kind of don't really want to be involved as such. And yeah, let's commit, yeah. So yeah, it's not nice. It's not a nice feeling because then you all of a sudden very aware that you're back on your own. Not that you went on your own 2 feet, but you've got no one helping you as such in terms of what you did have. And you're all basically much doing it for yourself, which at the same time can drive you on a different way because it's a bit more like do or die. You've got to turn up every week and keep yourself going and keep yourself funded. But also it comes with added pressures that you probably didn't account for the year before. So yeah, it's not a nice feeling, but at the same time, all I can control is if I keep doing the right things in my golf, hopefully, them things will return by just improving and getting better and doing the right things and putting myself in the right spaces.
Yeah.
It's like you said before, after the Open, you've been on that stage and kind of everyone wants to help you out then because they've seen you on a big stage and they want to help you as much as they can. Obviously over time and over, the months and the years that progress on, that kind of drops away because you're not there, you're not on that same stage now that you were as such at that time. So your exposure is maybe not as big as it was and people kind of, move away from you a little bit. But at the same time, if I go and get back to something around that level, then I'm sure it'll all come back pretty quick. So it's, yeah.
I know it takes a few rounds.
That's it, mate, yeah.
You still have the same aspiration after everything you've been through, all the highs, all the lows.
Yeah.
You have that aspiration to be a full-time golfer.
Of course, yeah. It's everything I wanted to do. Like I said to you before, it's everything I wanted to do my whole life, and kind of what I'm doing right now is just what I've always done. It's just on a different kind of. It's just got a bit of a different route this year, but it's everything I've ever wanted to do, and I'm just going to keep trying to do it as much as I can for as long as I can. Yeah.
It's just a hurdle on the road, isn't it?
That's it, mate. Yeah, bump in the road.
I know. The greatest of all time in our sport. Tiger.
Yeah.
He's had some serious hurdles and look what he done. So
like everyone has who's done anything in any form of life, in any industry, there's always going to be ups and downs and things that are good that happen and things that aren't so good that happen, and you'd be mad to think that they wouldn't. So you just got to just deal with it, haven't you, and keep going. Yeah.
So if there's a young aspiring golfer listening to us today now, what advice would you give them to get to the stage where they, if they want to turn professional and play or coach, whatever that may be, what advice would you give them?
Work hard.
Yeah.
Work hard. Make sure you work on the right things. Don't neglect any part of the game. Get a good coach. Trust them. Stick with them. And yeah, obviously, I mean, you need help from obviously your family and things like that to give you the platform to do what you're doing. But golf's obviously getting a little bit more accessible now in terms of like group coaching at driving ranges and stuff like that, and that's good. That's only good. But yeah, anyone who's aspiring to be a pro, you've just got to make sure you obviously work hard and do the right things to get to that level. Really, you can't cheat it, you can't fake it, you can't put a few videos on Instagram and all of a sudden you're going to be a tour pro. You've just basically got to just do what you've got to do to get to that level. It's like, in any sport, in football, in boxing and anything like that, you've got to put the hard hours in, practicing, working on your game, playing, and obviously having some good coaching around you to get to the level that you want to get to.
Yeah, I think we're seeing a lot more people taking the game of golf up. I think it's kind of, from I hate mentioning the pandemic, but I think the pandemic did really help golf.
Yeah,
it was one of the only few things you could do.
Yeah,
and then I think a lot of people jumped on it, and
there's definitely a bit of a boom around that time.
Massive,
more people playing and more people getting involved. I saw it from a coaching point of view. There's more and more people who wanted to get lessons and improve and all these things. So yeah,
it definitely had a good effect on it. But yeah, so bit of a tradition I'm going to start bringing in now to this, right? I want you to be the first. So to end the podcast on your side, leave us with a quote that you live by every day.
Tough question. That quote that you live by every day.
Yeah, which reflects you as a golfer, as a person, whatever it may be.
Right. There's a quote that I like. I mean, I'm not really into quotes and stuff like that, but there's something that I actually had it on me. I remember actually at the time around the Open, I had it flashed up on me on Instagram, I think, and I read it and I thought I like that. And it's called "The Man in the Arena."
Mm-hmm.
It's quite a long piece of a quote, but if you Google it, you'll find it. And I think that pretty much says everything about kind of if you're aspiring to be someone and do something. It just says a lot about that, and yeah, that's probably one thing that I'd probably say from a quote point of view.
So there you go. I'll look that up in spare time. So Dan, thank you very much.
No worries, mate.
Coming. Pleasure. Appreciate that.
Thanks,
Thank you. And that's been your first instalment of The Local Lad. I hope you enjoy it. If you want to follow the socials, it's at The Local Lad, 1L. And Spotify and a YouTube will hopefully be getting setting up in the near future. If you'd like to give any messages to me, then Instagram is the platform to do that. Thank you for listening, for watching, and see you next week.